What's up, guys? So before we get into this podcast today, I just want to first off give a huge shout out to RNA Insurance. They have been awesome enough to provide us with this great space here to do the podcast. It's right in West Ocean City, so it's a prime location for us for the future when we have guests come in that we're going to interview or do podcasts with. Just a great location. We're 5 minutes from all the marinas, Fishing Center, Sunset right there, and then you got Ocean Cities right there as well. So it's just a perfect location. So yeah, shout out to RNA Insurance. And they also are located right here in Westo and specialize in boat and marine insurance. So you can give them a call, ask for Jeff Jr. or Jeff Sr., and they'll get you squared away. Just want to thank them. And then, of course, guys, this is our first ever episode, my first time ever doing a podcast, kind of diving in head first. Just like with fishing, I tell people the only way to get better, find the fish, you got to get out there and do it, put in your time. That's what this is. We're putting in our time with the first episode here. So and actually it turned out pretty good. A couple video audio bugs, but shouldn't affect you all much, especially if you're watching on YouTube. That's going to be the only place the video content's available. The audio will be available everywhere. So for those of you that are just listening, probably won't notice much of a difference or notice anything. But for those of you watching, the angles are, they're not perfect, but we wanted to get this out to you guys. It's a fun little conversation between me and Jeff, and just wrapping up the year and getting into this year. And as Jeff said, there's going to be a lot of more content coming to you guys this year, more than you're used to from Always Bent. And then, we're going to be doing a lot more podcasting, putting these out hopefully once a week, maybe twice a month if we're busy, but going to try and keep on top of it. And I hope you guys enjoy, subscribe, or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And let us know if there's anything you guys want to hear. If you want to be on the podcast, you can email us at alwaysbentfishing@gmail.com. And I hope you guys enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Always Bent podcast. It's Taylor here from Always Bent Fishing. I'm here with my buddy Jeff. If you want to introduce yourself, Jeff?
Yes, I'm Jeff Rosenkilde. Just linked up with Taylor just last year and started doing some fishing together.
Yeah, man. We linked up at the end of last fall, and he's an avid angler here locally and just recently about to officially be captain, which will be pretty awesome for this coming summer and spring. And I actually want to touch base on some of last year for this first episode, now that we're sitting down talking to you guys and kind of can explain some of the stuff you see on Instagram or YouTube, going as far back as last spring and beginning of last summer, starting off the tournament season with the kayak tournament. We did really well. Me, Morgan, Tyler, Willie, we all fished the kayak tournament, and Tyler ended up winning, so that was awesome. And then moving right into summer, I think last summer was a pretty awesome summer of fishing. I know you guys did pretty well with the White Marlin Open.
Yeah, I did. I had a great tournament season. I was lucky to just stay on the fish from the beginning last year. The Elephants and the Big Eye got on them pretty good last year. Ended up placing in the tuna tournament with a couple friends of mine with a 203-pound bluefin, I think it was.
Nice.
And then we took that momentum, and I actually ran my buddy's boat out of Chincoteague for the White Marlin Open, and we won the small boat division in second place tuna with a 247-pound Big Eye. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And, especially the White Marlin Open.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of local guys that have been fishing it for years that fish in that small boat category, so it's still like a pretty big feat to accomplish.
I mean, we beat everybody in the tuna category, even the big boats. We were second. The only boat we lost to was real tight, and they beat us on the last day when our boat was broken down. I said to them, I was like, I'm going to go out there Friday. We hooked one Monday, lost it right at the boat, went back and leadered up. I think we lost that one 80-pound leader on Monday, and then we came back with a 100-pound Wednesday, killed that fish. And I would have went back out there Friday and killed another one. I know I was on them, but
yeah, that is.
Our boat broke down. It was with, the white marlin wanted to see us Thursday night, so we had no time to rig anything because we were being disputed. Obviously, everyone didn't want to see us win.
Yeah, I remember there was a whole, I don't remember the exact details, but there was a whole stir about, I don't know if it was you guys at another boat, or there was a couple different
people just said that they saw us cheating, but no one ever produced a video or any evidence, so it was all hearsay.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first time that's happened with the White Marlin Open.
And it won't be the last. Exactly. Honestly, it's not a tournament unless someone disputes something.
Yeah, and when you're competing for that much prize money, guys are going to be, even if they're wrong, they're going to be accusing people,
100%.
Pointing stuff out. Yeah. And,
especially because most of these boats have $130,000 sonars in them.
Yeah.
And I'm using the whales. I'm like, the whales right there are feeding. I'm like, I go right over those whales. There could be elephant underneath.
Yeah. Well, even the kayak tournament. I mean, you'll have guys pointing at other guys saying, "Oh, so and so got out of their kayak, or was tied up to a dock, or was fishing from land, or doing breaking some kind of rules." So I think that's just all tournaments or anytime you're competing
it's
for
normal.
Big money.
100%. Yeah.
But I hope that this summer and this tournament season's just as awesome. I think it will be. And and then we rolled right into fall after White Marlin Opens in August, and the fall season came around.
You and I really connected. We did a little bit of fishing in the fall.
The bridge bite was kind of slow, and I think it was September. We had a couple good sessions where we were catching those red drum and like randomly sheep's head on a paddle tail, just whether they were hitting it or we snagged it, whatever. But there was a lot of fish around there for a little bit, and then it kind of died out. And luckily, we went out there. I linked up with you, and I think we were going looking for striper. We rode up to Indian
We
River
knew it was early. We knew it was early. We were like, it was mid-November.
Yeah.
And we were like, it's early. The first one I've ever got, stripers usually like earliest end of November,
Right.
So we knew it was going to be a long shot trying to find these fish. But we went out there and it was like the middle, I think a little bit later than the middle of November. And we went to the shoal. We just checked all the shoals, and sure enough, there was a bunch of gannets on one of the shoals out there.
8 miles an hour right now. Tuna speed, not fucking. Keep moving into the sea of Hawkins.
And some fish breaking underneath of them, and they weren't stripers.
Oh yeah, I think we spotted a whale first. Well, birds first, then a whale, and then next thing you know, we thought it was albacore at first, but then we realized like these are just too big to be albacore. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something massive. Look at that boil.
Oh, what is that?
What was it? Albies? Really? And that was awesome. That was the first time we had seen them. And you and Dave, was it?
Yeah.
Actually ran back out. So the same day that we had spotted them, I had to go in and get my son from school or somewhere. They got some offshore tackle out of the truck and ran back out. It was that close, probably a mile or 2 or 3 miles maybe.
It was a little bit further right then. It was on the not the Fenwick.
You could see the beach.
Isle of Wight. It was on Isle of Wight.
You
you guys know where Isle of Wight is.
You ran right back out, and they did actually hook one that first day we saw them.
And I knew, like, I was rigging the tackle up because we had all striper stuff rigged up, and I'm saying to myself, I didn't say to anybody on the boat because I was like, I don't want to make anyone concerned right now. Chances are we're not even going to hook one. We had like an hour left.
Right.
So we went out there. I had like the hook I knew was not going to hold over 100-pound bluefin. I was like, if we hook one that's those 80-pounders we were saying, great. Of course we didn't. We hooked one. It was huge. It was the biggest bluefin I've hooked off of Ocean City. We put 40 pounds of drag on that thing, and we're chasing it down on a center console. I was on the front of the boat, so we were rolling. We weren't like backing down on this thing. We were rolling up, and this thing was dumping the drag on 40 pounds.
40! Bluefin, Ocean City.
Just dumping it. And I'm like, Dave, you got to go faster. We're going to lose this fish. So I put it all the way up on above strike, the full drag. And I thought we broke the line or broke some sort of tackle failure, but I pulled it in and bent hook.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I do feel like we were talking about, it seemed like in the beginning was like a different class of fish. I mean, it's hard to tell. We were out there a lot, and I called a couple, you called a couple, but I don't know. In the beginning, it just seemed like there was small and huge,
Right.
like 80 pound
I
and
agree.
350 pound,
Right. That's all.
swimming all
Yeah.
around.
It wasn't like any medium sized fish. Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, there it seemed like they were all those medium sized,
Right.
like 60 inchers,
Medium, and I think there was
55,
some still
65.
large mixed in, but we did not see any of those like 80 pounders like we first saw.
Right.
You know, like those fish are perfect size fish in my
Yeah,
opinion.
those would
you
have been
know?
fun for sure on some light tackle and
Right.
stuff. But either way, it was an awesome treat for me. I mean, I haven't been able to do any sort of run and gun tuna fishing like that
Yeah.
close inshore, so it was pretty awesome. And then you know, we ended up getting out there and catching some striper.
Tons of striper.
yeah.
I mean, it actually became like we were kind of mad at each other when we got a striper.
I
Like,
know.
God damn it, where are the bluefins? But
Well, and it was funny too because we were trying so hard, and then when you finally connected and got, well, that day you caught a bunch of striper and bluefin that I
Yeah.
couldn't go,
Uh-huh.
but I was still stoked you at least got to catch one yourself. And
I mean, that
killed the
day was
bluefin.
probably one of the best days I've ever had in Ocean City in December. It was literally epic, man. I
Yeah.
mean, we were all by ourselves. There was a big fleet up at Isle of Wight, and all the shoals are the same, in my opinion. Like, I mean, not the same, but you know, if you find a shoal with structure on it, it's the same as finding, you know, going to the Isle of Wight, except there's less boats, in my opinion. So keep that in mind. Look for
Yeah.
other areas that boats aren't in that are similar with structure.
For sure.
But yeah, it was a hell of a day last December when we killed that big bluefin right away, and then just smoked the stripers on light tackle. I mean, it was every cast.
Yeah, it looked like a good time. It was funny. At that point, I had killed my one bluefin with Game Changer and those guys. But, you know, that's basically a charter boat trolling. It was awesome. I was stoked. Still, like, just as fun an experience. But it was cool to see, you know, I was wishing I was there for the striper and the tuna. But, you know, seeing especially the light tackle striper and it's just neat, you know, killing a tuna. And I eventually did, as you guys know, you've probably all seen the YouTube video by now, but I did end up going out with Tyler and getting to kill a bluefin with him, you know, on a small boat,
Yeah, that
light
was
tackle.
badass.
But it's always fun to, you know, I love fishing with Sean and Phil and the boys on the Game Changer, but it's always cool to go out on like your own boat or a
Right.
smaller boat
Right.
and just feel like you're doing it all by yourself.
I
you know?
agree, yeah.
Especially, you know, we, like you said, I mean, it has electronics, but no sonar, no
Right.
fancy sonar or anything.
Yeah, you
know,
got to use
especially
your
the boat I
eyes
was
more
on.
than look at the
Yeah.
screen, you know?
Exactly, and that's the type of fishing we like to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other guys out there that are the same way as we are, but it's neat, man. And that whole inshore experience with the striper and the bluefin.
Yeah,
boat,
it was
just
incredible.
Being so close.
I mean, it was in my wildest dreams. I mean, hopefully this happens again. I mean, you and I were talking about this in last year, that, you know, you more than me have known, you know, people, you've been here your whole life, so you've known people that have talked about this happening
yeah, well,
10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people were saying, you know, who knows? I don't remember 15, 20 years
I
ago.
don't either.
But back then, there was no social media. I'm sure it was a hush-hush kind of thing.
Right.
Like, if you're in the scene, you know.
If you're not, you don't. Yeah.
But, so that's one of the ways, you know, everything's kind of changed with social media, podcasts, Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, instant information.
But still, even so, no one told me about the bluefin. You know, I didn't see it online. We went out there looking for striper just on a whim.
Oh, you and I definitely, we definitely found them.
So
you
it's
know, like we started the whole thing.
Yeah, and you can't wait for someone to tell you on the internet. Like other guys probably saw them and knew just like we did, but they weren't telling anyone or saying anything. So sometimes you just got to get out there.
Right, and that's just go the time of year when you think they're going to be coming through and look around. And if they're not there, they're not there. You know, do something else. But
and I mean, even right now as we speak, we're in March here, and you know, we were talking about. From what I've heard, they usually stay further off when they come back by, heading north. But you never know. I saw birds this morning at the inlet.
Well, and my buddy Dave that we went and found the bluefin with this fall, he was out sea bassing last year in May, and he was calling me. He was close to shore. He was calling me. He's like, dude, I'm seeing bluefins. He's like, they're everywhere. And I'm like, dude, you're full of crap.
Well,
and sorry, go ahead.
I'm, you know, it doesn't surprise me. I know the fishery's always
they were there.
changing.
They were there. So I mean, go look in May is what I'm saying. When you're sea bass fishing, don't be afraid to throw a line away back and, you know, troll some lumps.
Yeah, that's right, man. And that's, you know, it's spring now, it's March. Most of the fishing we've been doing this winter to keep busy, which kind of surprising. You know, nothing surprised me anymore. Like I said, the fishery's always changing, and I feel like something different's always happening, or I'm figuring out something new, or some new pattern, or finding them somewhere new. And between up here at the Route 90 bridge and up in the back base to the north, and then way far south of the Verrazano and at Verrazano, but down towards Girdle Tree and down that way, and as far as Chincoteague and Tom's Cove, and between you and I and these winter months, it can be hard or tricky to find the striper in the inlet, or unless you're going out, putting in time trolling out there. And so it's been neat. We've been getting some bigger quality fish in these back bays, and almost Chesapeake Bay style fishing a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I think
land, from kayak.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a couple of the fish I've got down there and near my house have been, mid-30s.
Yeah,
which is the biggest I've ever gotten by far down there.
Yeah, that one picture I've posted a couple times. I'll, if I remember, I'll pull it up and put it on the screen here. But the one you got in the marsh you're holding, I think it was like a 32 inch, but it's a solid fish.
Oh my God,
man.
yeah, they were. Luckily that night I had my friend with me, but these other ones I've been by myself, so I've been like, trying to get a picture. Yeah, but it's hard to get a good picture to show like the actual quality of the fish when you're by yourself, Yeah,
and it blows my mind, like. 90 Bridge or Verrazano is one thing, but down there where that spot, you're so far from either inlet, and you're in, it's like a flat that's like 3 to maybe 5 feet in the deep holes. Like there's no deep holes. There's natural structure, of course, the marsh and the bottom and all that, but it's just an interesting place to be like, what are they doing here? You know? It's like, I know kind of, I'm assuming they're, thinking it's that time of year where we spawn or go upstream or go.
They gotta spawn back there,
in
man.
The back bays.
I'm convinced. I know people say that they don't spawn in that bay, and I know there's some people that say they do, but I'm personally convinced that they do.
Well, it's just wild to find them back there, and other spots too.
I feel like that's what they're doing though, like because they're it's like very back country. It's not like the main stem of the bay. Right. You know what I mean?
And if they're not actually physically spawning, they at least think they are. They're pretending to.
Right.
Because I feel like it's got to be an instinctual DNA thing, like. If they, I don't know if they know where they are or not, but they're probably assuming it's like when we're in the Chesapeake Bay, what we do this time of year, we swim inshore, we
shallows,
go up the creeks, we go up to spawn.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. Whether they're actually having babies here locally or not, I don't know.
I mean, I think
there's something to it.
I think that they are. I mean, my opinion and why I think that they are is because, especially the last couple of years, I've been catching super small fish too, like. Yeah. I usually they're all 18 inches to 25, generally speaking. Right. And the fish I've been catching this year is either really nice or a lot of them are small, really small. I'm saying 10, 12 inches.
Well, we actually did have one keeper at 90 this year too, that looked like it was female, and there was no eggs, so it's hard to say, but it looked like she could have been spawning, basically, just real big, fat. Looked like we were looking for eggs, but there was none, and that was a 29 inch. I think in January, it might have been December or January, but yeah, it's interesting. And then of course I'm always opening up their bellies and looking what they're eating, and I was shocked to find a ton of grass shrimp and little tiny crabs. I don't know if they're mud crabs or baby blue crabs or what.
That is interesting.
But not as many fish as you would think, even though we see that bait swimming around this time of year, little mud minnows and things. But a lot of crustaceans in their bellies this time of year, so it's just interesting.
That is really.
All we throw is paddle tails. I've never tried anything crustacean related. Maybe a rubber shrimp or something, but.
I mean, I actually was. When we got that like nice warm streak, I did go out there with a popping cork, a couple times. But I couldn't get anything to bite on the popping cork.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if that works on the right day.
It'll work. It's a great. They work great. Especially when the specs show up.
As soon as the specs show up,
and that's why I was trying it, because it's been warm enough where it should be any day somebody gets a speck around here.
It's about that time of year. It's end of March now, and it should be showing up any day, which will be awesome. I'm just. Excited to do some inshore fishing and get offshore and fish. And
got a lot of exciting news about offshore this year. Not quite ready to share everything yet, but we'll give that another.
It's
next.
Be awesome.
Probably the next podcast we do. It'll probably come out.
And speaking of, we're both busy guys here, so I'm gonna try my best to do 3 to 4 podcasts a month in the busy months. There might be some months where it's only 2, at least 1 every other week is my goal, if not 1 a week. It'll just depend, how frequently you're available, I'm available, how frequently we could get a guest to pop in. I definitely am going to get Willie in here to sit down and talk about like how me and him started fishing together a few years back and starting Always Bent and all that. And I'm sure,
and if you want to come, if anybody wants to come, we're right in West Ocean City. We'd love to have you guys.
I don't know how much you can see behind us here in the background, but
anybody that wants to come talk about fishing with us, we'd love to have you guys on.
Yeah, we're right around. So yeah, and like you see there at the end, Jeff did get cut off there, but a lot of big news, big things coming for 2024. So stay tuned. We're gonna have more podcasts on the way. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and welcome to the Always Bent podcast.